This lens now is very hard to zoom, so I can't do these smooth zooms anymore. But I've spent the entire morning now trying to fix a couple of stuff for a company that I'm doing a campaign with, and trying to dig out some of the old footage that I was using last year. I highly recommend you to create a good file structure to be able to find stuff if you're doing daily vlogs and if you're working as a videographer. Even though it's not like something that you think you're gonna use, it's so good to be able to have environmental shots, drone shots in specific folders, just in case you have a client that wants something specific. Then you can make money from stuff that you already shot. Worth thinking about. I think I've been running the daily vlogs now for a little bit over 1.5 weeks, and I really want to keep it going because I don't think it's a hassle to do so, but I've realized that when you are doing multiple different projects, that is where the hard part comes in. So, for example, if I were to shoot something different than the daily vlog, then that would take a lot of time. Something that I try to do is to put everything away before you start with the next thing. It's a very hard habit to get into, but it also makes everything way more efficient when you start working on the next thing. Might just have to buy a new zoom lens. I don't like that. It is impossible to grab it without doing. Smart. I have put up the studs that is going to be base for the walls. I think that the next step is going to be to put some studs in between here so that we're going to have 50 centimeters approximately. I'm currently all out with good studs though, so it's going to require a trip to the hardware store tomorrow. Ja, en liten bulle kör vi på idag. When you are jumping into the whole business aspect of things, it's very hard to know exactly how much time that you actually got to invest for your business to bring a profit and for you to actually make your business a living. When you're just starting out, it's very easy to think that it's gonna go well for you instantly. And on some occasions, it happens, you know, it just takes off and then it keeps going with a steep climb. But what I experienced in the beginning of my career was that even though I spent a lot of time on my freelance business, I didn't make a lot of money. I would say that the climb was incredibly slow. At times, it actually went back down. So the curve would look something like this. And this is something that you got to be prepared of when you think of starting up your own business and when you want to see results, because the results is going to be depending on how much time that you actually spend on your business. 2018 was my first year as a freelancer, and even though I tried my absolute best to spend as much time as I could, I did not make much money at all that year. I think I made like a total of maybe like 3K during the entire year because I didn't know how to price my stuff. 2019, on the other hand, was the first year that I decided to take some time off from my daytime job. By doing so, I also got a lot more time to invest into my business, which yielded a way better result than what I had previously. But it was still not the huge amount of money that I wanted it to be and that you think it's going to be when you jump into the world of unknown. And I guess you can say there was a bit of a risk because I didn't know if this year would be yielding any result for me to actually continue. And me quitting DHL was not like any secure spot that I had whatsoever. But due to the amount of time that I was able to spend on my videos during 2019, I also built up a big YouTube audience which started to generate a lot more money than I thought it would. So in 2020, 2020, when I moved into this office space, I decided to make a lot of investments to be able to make videos. And the amount of money that I made in 2020 was more than double that I made in 2019. But since I invested so much money into the business during 2020, I didn't have that much profit in my business. Moving into 2021, I thought that I wouldn't make the same amount of money, but it actually made me more money in 2021 than I did in 2020, mainly because I did not invest as much money into the business as I previously had done in 2020. And when it comes to a business, it is crucial that you invest into it to be able to make it grow. That brings us back to the Mac Studio. Making investments into your business is a great way to get tax deductible things that you can make videos of. Ever since I started my business in 2011 up until 2021, I've been working as a sole proprietor. What this means here in Sweden is that the amount of money that my company makes is my kind of money, but it's also something that I have to tax on. Say for example that I were to send an invoice to my client for $100. What I would do when that invoice got paid is that I would take 50% off the money and then put that into my tax account, which means that I would end up with $50 as a profit. But as I was counting the profit that I was about to make in 2021 compared to 2020, I decided to start a corporation instead, mainly because I don't have to pay as much taxes onto the profit. Say for example that I'm sending an invoice as a corporation for $100. Then what I would do is that I would put away 25% of that into my tax account, and then the rest is a profit for the company. The good thing about having a corporation is that I don't have to take out all the money that I earn. So say for example that my company has made a profit of $100, then the tax that my company has to pay is 21.4%. If I were to take that out as a paycheck, for example, say that I want to take out $50 from my company to myself, then I'm going to have to pay approximately 50% in taxes. But the good thing is that if I save a bunch of profit in my company, then I'm only going to have to pay this amount of taxes on the profit. And there's also something that is called dividends. So if I were to take out dividends from my company, then the amount of taxes in total on the profit is going to be a total of around 20%. So there's absolutely pros and cons with having both, and I highly recommend you to start your business as a sole proprietor and not as a corporation unless you have a very good profit. But the thing is that when it comes to investing into my business, it's also one of those things that helps you lower the amount of profit, which means that you don't have to pay the same amount of taxes as you would if you were to have a higher profit. I'm not saying that I want to avoid taxes. I actually like paying taxes, but sometimes it's very good to be able to buy stuff for the studio that I want and also pay less taxes for what I actually purchase. Say for example that I want to buy something that cost me $1,000 as a private expense. I would have to take out $1,000 from my business, which means that I would have to pay approximately $500 in taxes. And of course, there's some things that I can't buy for the company because some things are not deductible. But in this case, we're going to say that the Mac Studio costs $1,000. And if I were to buy it on my business, it would still cost me the same amount of money. But since I'm buying it as a business expense, it means that I can deduct the taxes that it otherwise would have cost me if I bought this privately. So when I buy something for the business, which is everything that you can see here in the studio, it is tax deductible. So in this case, it would end up being a total of $750 instead of $1,000. And I also don't have to spend any sort of taxes from my business in order to be able to buy this for my business because I don't have to take out the money privately. The only tax that I actually have to pay is the amount of profit that my business has after I have made this purchase, which means that I'm going to lower my profit and eventually spend less amount on taxes. I guess that what I want to say with this is that it's very good to have a corporation if you have a lot of money coming in to the actual corporation, and there is a lot of things that you can deduct on your company that you otherwise wouldn't be able to do, such as a gym card, Spotify, Netflix, flights, hotels, anything that you basically can imagine that your business needs in order to be able to operate is deductible. And if it's deductible, it means that you don't have to pay the amount of taxes that you would have to do if you were to take out the money privately. Thank you. I will see you tomorrow.